You know that feeling, right? You're in a meeting, everyone seems to agree, nodding along,
Hmm.
and then later you find out, wow, we were not on the same page at all. Everyone heard something
Oh,
different.
yeah. That or, when you're trying to make a point and someone just cuts you off thinking they know exactly where you're going.
It happens all the time, and it's so frustrating.
It really is. And these aren't just like minor workplace annoyances, are they?
No, not according to the source we're diving into today. It suggests these are signs of something deeper, um, a lack of a really fundamental skill, active listening.
Exactly. That's what this deep dive is all about. Unpacking active listening, often overlooked, but so foundational, especially, in really fast-moving environments.
Like agile product and service management or teams working on AI stuff.
Precisely.
Hmm.
Our mission today, based on this source material, is to explore why it's so critical there, how it connects directly to key agile principles for product and service management.
And what it means even when we're talking about or working with AI.
Yeah, the source really positions active listening not as some kind of optional soft skill, but
Yeah.
as a core thing you need for just, well, getting things done effectively, for understanding, for delivering actual value.
Okay, let's get into it. The source kicks off with this idea. It calls it the active listening paradox, which, like a lot in Agile, feels a bit backwards at first.
It totally does.
Yeah.
The core idea is you have to slow down right now to actively listen.
Right.
But doing that actually helps you deliver value faster in the long run. It accelerates things overall. Go slower to go faster.
Okay, so why? Why does slowing down speed things up? It seems counterintuitive.
Well, it boils down to the cost of not listening. Think about misunderstandings.
Okay.
They lead to rework, frustration, bad decisions, wasted effort. It's hugely expensive.
Like that rocket analogy the source used, right? If you're off by just a tiny bit at the start.
Exactly. You end up way off course.
Right.
Maybe not even in the right galaxy,
Yeah.
metaphorically speaking, correcting that later. That takes way more time and resources than just getting it right or closer to right up front.
That makes sense. That feeling of we rushed, but now we have to redo half of it. Ugh.
So that upfront investment in really listening, really understanding, it prevents all that downstream chaos. It keeps you on target.
But here's the tricky part, isn't it? We all think we're good listeners.
We do. It's a default assumption. But the reality, the source argues, is we're mostly filtering, not truly actively listening.
Filtering. How so?
Our brains are wired to handle information overload.
Mhm.
There's this thing, the reticular activating system.
Okay.
It basically acts like a bouncer, deciding what information gets past the velvet rope based on our existing biases, assumptions, what we think is important right now.
So we're hearing the sounds, but our brain is immediately kind of twisting it to fit our view.
In a way, yeah. Or just prioritizing bits and ignoring others. And we're fighting against, well, a couple of things. One is just impatience, right? The whole TLDR culture.
Yeah, just give me the bottom line.
Exactly. We don't always wait for the full picture. And the other thing is dialogical, how our brains predict. Yeah, like the source's example. Here, carrot. Maybe you instantly think rabbit. Your brain anticipates based on probability, on patterns it knows, these mental stories.
Okay, it's building a narrative as it goes.
Right, which is usually helpful. But the problem comes when someone's saying something genuinely new, something that doesn't fit your brain's expected story.
Ah, so the brain might just discard it because it doesn't fit the pattern it predicted.
Pretty much. It's already filled in the blanks, so that crucial new bit gets missed. That's why the source stresses patience, letting the whole idea land before jumping to conclusions.
And interrupting, that comes from the same place, doesn't it? My brain thinks it knows where you're going.
Bingo. You think you've got the gist, so you jump in based on your prediction, not what they are actually about to say.
Which brings us back to why this is so vital for agile product and service management. It's about building shared context, right?
Absolutely crucial. If I'm running on my mental story and you're running on yours, even if we use the same words.
We could be talking past each other completely.
Totally.
Yeah.
Active listening is more than just hearing. It's consciously processing, interpreting, really taking it on board, and then, being ready to act on that shared understanding.
And the source mentions a specific technique for this, the echo back.
Yes, this is so important, and it's not just repeating words like a parrot.
Right.
It's saying back what you think you understood, but in your own words.
Okay, so I process it, then rephrase it.
Exactly. And that gives the speaker a chance to go, yes, spot on. Or, crucially, not quite. Let me clarify that bit. It aligns those mental stories.
Got it. And the source says we need to listen deeper, too, beyond just the words.
Yeah, definitely. It's about catching the subtext, the emotion, the concerns, what's not being said explicitly,
How do we pick up on that?
through nonverbal cues, mostly. Tone of voice, pauses, facial expressions, body language.
Ah, like those Moravian stats the source mentions, about how little meaning comes from words alone when feelings are involved.
Right, the classic 7% words, 38% tone, 55% body language figures. Now, there are debates about the exact numbers and context,
Sure.
but the core point is solid. A huge chunk of the message, especially the emotional part, isn't in the words themselves.
And you feel that, don't you? Like you leave a meeting, everyone said yes, but you just know someone isn't really bought in.
Exactly. You picked up on the hesitation, the forced smile, something else. You miss all that if you're not truly present and listening actively.
Okay, so this ties into the 4 pillars of agile product and service management the source connects this to. We've got context shared understanding. What's next?
Mindfulness, being truly present in the moment. That's the state you need to be in to listen that deeply, to catch the subtext, the tone, the body language.
So mindfulness enables active listening.
You could say that. It's the foundation.
Yeah?
And you know when you're not being mindful. When someone's talking and you're already planning your brilliant response in your head.
Guilty. I do that all the time.
We all do. But when you're doing that, you're not fully listening. You can miss something vital. The source had that stark example.
The layoff one.
Yeah. If you expect bad news, your brain's already building that story.
Oh.
You could completely miss the word not if they say layoffs are not happening.
Wow, one word changes everything.
Totally. That's why mindfulness is so key for, say, agile coaches. They need to pick up on those subtle team dynamics.
Okay, context, mindfulness. Pillar 3.
Respect. Truly listening, giving someone your full attention, processing their thoughts. That is respect in action. It says, you matter, your perspective matters.
Which is the opposite of glancing at your phone during a conversation.
Exactly. The triple D digital distraction, disrespect. It signals the screen is more important, and you inevitably miss things, both information and those nonverbal cues.
And listening fosters inclusion, too.
Yeah, because when you're mindful and present, you notice who's quiet, who might be hesitant. You can then actively, respectfully invite them in. Shows you value everyone's input.
Makes sense. And the 4th pillar.
Trust. It all builds towards this. When you consistently show you're willing to listen, establish context, be mindful, show respect, that builds psychological safety.
And without listening.
Trust evaporates. People won't feel safe being open or vulnerable if they feel ignored or constantly interrupted. Active listening nurtures that safe space needed for real collaboration.
So this isn't just like nice to have stuff. It has real business impact.
Huge impact. Poor listening costs time, money, and morale. Good listening builds trust and leads to better outcomes. It's fundamental.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. How does this apply when AI is involved? Seems different than listening to a person.
Well, the source looks at it 2 ways. First, the human conversations about AI.
Like planning an AI project or strategy.
Exactly. In those meetings, clear communication, active listening, understanding needs and concerns, it's critical to avoid building the wrong thing or something biased or even dangerous.
Right. And the second way,
Interacting with the AI itself.
how do you actively listen to an algorithm?
It's more about recognizing that AIs, like our brains, fill in gaps based on patterns and probability. They can create their own kind of mental story.
Ah, so if you just give it prompts without checking?
You can end up in an echo chamber, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the AI goes off track based on its interpretation, and you don't realize it. Its usefulness drops.
So you need to like echo back to the AI, check its understanding.
Kind of, yeah. Validate the context, clarify its outputs. Treat it a bit like interacting with a coworker, checking for shared understanding, makes it work better.
And when building AI, listening deeply to stakeholders, to customers, including their unspoken needs.
Crucial for avoiding bias and creating AI that actually helps people. The source emphasizes AI should enhance human connection, not replace the need for good human communication.
Okay, it's clear this is super important, but also hard because of how we're wired. So how do we actually improve? Any practical tips from the source?
Yeah, it takes conscious effort, practice, and it's layered, right? Cultural differences matter too, that US TLDR preference versus, say, some European cultures needing more detail up front.
So you need to be mindful of who we're talking to as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But for general practice, incorporate those feedback loops, the echo back.
In meetings, you mean?
Yeah. Start meetings by summarizing the last one's takeaways. Pause discussions and ask someone to recap. Not to put them on the spot, but to check alignment, reinforce listening,
Okay, what else?
documenting takeaways, especially for complex work like AI development, writing down decisions, insights, and then reflecting on them. It mirrors that listening processing cycle.
And finally,
Just embedding it is a core competency. For individuals, teams, leaders, recognizing active listening isn't fluff. It's a skill that drives better decisions, better collaboration.
okay, so let's try and recap this deep dive. Active listening. It's this paradox, right? Slow down now to actually go faster later, avoiding the huge costs of misunderstanding.
Yep. And it's hard because our brains naturally filter, predict, create these mental stories that can block out new stuff.
But mastering it is key for shared context, for mindfulness, for showing respect, and building trust, which the source calls the pillars of effective agile product and service management.
And it's just as vital when we're working with AI in our discussions about it, and even in how we interact with AI systems themselves. It's got real tangible value.
So here's a thought to leave you with. Given how much we filter and predict, how much we get distracted, how often are you really truly having the same conversation as the person sitting across from you?
Yeah, and if active listening is a skill we have to practice, how much value, how much understanding are we potentially leaving on the table every single day because we don't intentionally work on it?
Something to think about. Maybe reflect on your own experiences. When has listening really worked? Or when has it broken down? Perhaps these ideas are new, or maybe just a good reminder.
Absolutely. And if you want to dive deeper into the source material itself or learn more about those 4 pillars of agile product and service management we talked about.
You can find the links right there in the description for this deep dive. Go ahead, click through, and keep exploring this really important topic.